Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. I am your co-host Ashton here with my awesome co-host Zach. Zach is back from vacation. Just wanted to ask, how did that go? Did you enjoy the week off? And what'd you do?
Yeah, I was at the most magical place on earth, Disney. I did not watch most of the Seattle game live. I did catch the last 2 minutes of regular plus the overtime while I was waiting for the fireworks to happen at Magic Kingdom. So that was cool to see and be able to see the Rams pull the victory there. But unfortunately, the Rams just could not keep their streak alive going into this game. So we're gonna break it down. I do feel rejuvenated coming from vacation, but then I kind of got a downer with this Monday night game. So we'll break all that down. Maybe have some high hopes, but it's not looking great, Bob.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not expecting this video to be as long as normal because there's just not as much to talk about. But before we continue, if you guys don't mind, please like and subscribe. That definitely helps us out. And if you're on any podcasting app, which you can find us on most of them, go ahead and comment down below. Tell us what was your, let's say, most disappointing thought about this game, and we have many. So, kind of getting into that, Zach, do we have any news to talk about?
Yeah, so as far as news goes, not a whole lot. The Rams kind of are just doing a walkthrough today because it is a short week. But the biggest news that we did get is kind of the injury updates. Currently,
Yep.
as far as the big one, Rob Havenstein, who we did miss uh, really, really badly on Monday night, he is still questionable. McVay said there is a chance that he could play Sunday against the Patriots, but it is I think he worded it as it's likely not going to happen, but there's a probability it will happen. So he tended to be more negative towards that he would start than positive. But there is a chance. Um, Other than that, I think all the Rams news. Oh, Joe Noteboom also is banged up. Um, so yeah, Joe Noteboom has an ankle. Byron Young also was limited today. Um, So, we may not see Joe Noteboom play this week. We'll just have to see how the week progresses.
Yeah, and since we're live, guys, go ahead if you want to comment, comments, and we'll kind of get the conversation going, and we'll bring them up and engage with you guys if you want to. Yeah, we can kind of roll from the injury news into the game because it kind of ties all together with Note Boom. That
Yeah.
was atrocious,
It was it was
atrocious
it
right
was an
tackle play.
atrocious game. And really, I wanna look at this kind of as a 50-foot view or a 100-foot view of what's happening here, and the offense is just something isn't working. I know a lot of people have been wanting to put the blame on Sean McVay. Um, I know a lot of people want to put the blame on Stafford. Um, a lot of people want to put the blame on the offensive line or the tight ends, but it is the offense in general. The offense in general is atrocious. It has been atrocious. The only week that it wasn't atrocious was the week against the Vikings. Um, Looking at all the games that we've had so far, even the ones that they've won because of their defense. And again, their defense did show up this week. Yes, the first drive was bad for them, but after that, they did everything they could until towards the end to keep that game close and to give their offense every opportunity to succeed, and the offense just couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean they're bad on scripted drives. I would be interested to know like their rate of giving up touchdowns on the opponent's first drive because I guarantee you it's probably one of the higher rates in the league. But they do adapt and they learn. And like you said, defense is not reason we lost this game. Not at all.
And it isn't. I mean, and this was actually one of the first games where um, we the defense kind of let up in the second half. Typically, this defense has been really strong in the second half, being able to hold the opposing team from scoring minimal points in general. Um, so again, it's you were the defense was just wearing down towards the end. They made stop after stop after stop after that first Dolphins drive. I mean, you go back and you look at the drives. They did. They scored the touchdown in 5 plays. Then it was punt after 3 plays. It was a 3-and-out punt after 6 plays. Then they held them to a field goal. Then they got an interception. Then they got a fumble. Then they got a punt. Like they were doing everything possible. And the only thing out of all of that, the Rams got 3 points. Out of everything that I just said, the Rams got 3 points. They could not do anything. And they had everybody but one offensive lineman back. Tom
Yeah,
Havenstein
yeah.
was the only one not there.
Do you know who had the most targets in the first half?
I do not have that on.
Davis Allen.
Oh, yeah. That now that you say it, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. It-
I noticed that uh, partially because I own both Cup and Puka in fantasy, but it was just you can't use both of them as decoys. And there's an issue if you don't have short routes, instant out routes. Like we started to see them do like he had the same amount of time to throw in the second half that he did the first half. They didn't magically get better at pass blocking, which the amount of level that the pass blocking quality went down in this game versus when we had the two rookies in is shockingly bad.
yeah.
But that's a conversation for other day. In the second half, you started to see like they actually focused on giving Puka and Cup the ball, and I think that made a world of difference. Don't get me wrong, I like Davis Allen as a project. I feel like he could grow into something good, but was this the game in the first half to really scheme for Davis Allen? It just didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, this was just bad off the bat. I mean, we only had 18 carries compared to the 46 pass attempts by Stafford. I honestly think Stafford played pretty well tonight, or that night. He had that one interception. I That was a tipped
Not on
ball.
him.
You can't really blame him for that one. He had a lot of tipped balls. Again, the defensive lineman made a good play. There's not a whole lot you can do with those. But some of the things that I think they could have probably done a little bit better with, or he could have done, maybe do some more bootlegs. They were actually really successful when he rolled out of the pocket, um, doing something a little bit different. And I don't know if that was more of a Sean McVay thing or a Stafford thing or whoever you want to put the blame on that. But they got to do something. I mean, Stafford one time went up the middle again. Like Stafford should not be charging up the middle. He should be getting out of there. Um, so that was probably my
Yeah.
one frustrating. Other than, I guess I should say there was two mess ups. One, I didn't like that run where he kind of ran in the middle. I think technically that was a rush of gain of nothing. And then the one at the end where he had the clear wide open shot to Kyron Williams to get a touchdown. Um,
Uh,
it, Again, it was just probably a blind spot that he just didn't see it, and he was already in mid throw when he was doing it. And he probably wish he would have taken that back. Um, Outside of
yeah.
that, I think Stafford played well enough.
I think this is by far the worst game he's had this year in the red zone. Like it's a weird one because he wasn't like atrocious throwing, like especially in the middle of the field between the 20s, but in the red zone, he just he wasn't reading it like he normally does. And I don't know how much of that was the defense having really good coverage, moving coverage around, trying to like trick him and get him to make mistakes. But whatever they did in the red zone was it was really causing Stafford a lot of
I mean,
fits.
it wasn't just in the red zone. It was throughout the whole game. It was the defense from the Dolphins was putting the pressure on him. Um, they were constantly breaking through that offensive lineman. I mean, I think Steve Avila, he did a great job. There's no complaints about him. But you saw, Joe Noteboom and even Alark Jackson, they were just breaking through both of those guys and giving
Jonah
Stafford no
Jackson.
time. Well, Jonah Jackson, I mean, he was the center. I have issues with him because of all the high snaps. The number of high snaps that Stafford had to catch and had to readjust, I think that threw him off too. Like when you are, I mean, it wasn't just one or two. There was one or two really
Yeah.
bad ones, but there were several that that Stafford had to go up for, which just again, when you have that high ball, that's Stafford having to recalibrate that. Plus, it loses a second or two to get the ball out to find where his targets are.
I I think Alert Jackson had his worst game of the season. I do agree with that, but I don't think he was bad. I thought he was just average.
Correct. I would
Jonah
agree with that.
Jackson, he just on top of snaps, he was terrible in pass blocking,
I I
and
don't know
run
why.
blocking wasn't good.
I don't know why at one point we just weren't like, okay, where's Bo Limmer? Let's put him in and just see what happens. Maybe like shuffle that offensive line back up a little bit. I mean, do something.
You
They
can't
have.
kill you can't kill their confidence like that though. You can't
I know,
bench
but
a lineman in the middle of a
you
game.
lost your confidence when you can't score a freaking touchdown the entire game. You can't settle for five
I
field goals.
definitely thought Noteboom should have been benched mid game. He was that was sad. That was one of the worst starting lineman performances I can remember by Ram since like 22. And we're talking about like uh what's his name? Ty Naseki or whatever. Like
Yeah,
I thought like him coming off the streets being like he was a security guard and he came off streets and gave a better game than Noteboom
yeah,
did.
yeah. Nopum you know, he has success when he's out there on a limited basis. He's not an every down, you know, uh, lineman, and and that's the sad part. And it's like they've given him chance after chance, and he always seems to win out because I think he's that good depth piece. But right now, I'm concerned that if he does play this week, that if he's in that Rob Havenstein spot, it's going to be another disastrous outcome against a Patriots team who's not good. Again, we're going
Um,
up another team who's hasn't been playing well.
McClendon did fine. He wasn't great, but McClendon was solid. He was a lot better than Noteboom. And I
Well,
have no clue why they keep on starting Noteboom. Like, I don't care he's getting paid 20 mil. I do not care. He actively hurt our chances to win that game.
yeah. No, I don't disagree, and or rotate him in or something like that. Like again, again in short times, it feels like he can do some plays, but he can't handle the pressure after pressure after pressure. And again, one of the things that you always see is that there's 46 pass attempts. That puts a lot of strain on the offensive line in and of itself
Uh,
when you have to pass protect.
we can run, though. Like, their run blocking was worse than their pass blocking.
But we didn't. I don't think we tried
It
enough.
was worse. We did try, and every time they did, like Kyron would get 1 or 2 yards because like he's getting tackled behind line of scrimmage.
I again, when you compare it to 18 attempts to which, and you look at Kyron Williams, for whatever you say, he had 15, he was still averaging 4.1. That's not
So
terrible.
like I will say I disagree with this just because when we started getting the ball actually moving in second half, it was because they were doing short and intermediate throws. And in the first half, they always would try to run on first down and it would do nothing. And then we would get in long passing situations. And
Yeah.
guess what? That's when Stafford would get instantly pressured and he would either get sacked or just had to throw it away. And second and third and long was atrocious because we would try to run it on first down in first half or do something like a slip screen or something stupid that would get instantly blown up.
Did we only converted? Oh, we did. Oh no, we converted 3 third downs.
All in the fourth quarter, I think.
All in the
We might have had one in the third.
yeah, I think we had one going into the fourth quarter. But yeah, you're right. Like it's just again and again, I was fine with the passing. Like the Stafford is a great passer. I just think again, 46 times compared to the 18 times that you ran the ball, which one actually I'm going to count 17 because one of those was the Stafford. But again, your both of your running backs, whether Corum was in just for the 2 times or the 2 carries, they were still averaging 4.1 yards. Give them a shot. Give them a shot. I get that there was times that they got hit in the backfield and that degrades them a little bit. But again, it helps your offensive line when you can do the run block instead of always being the pass block because it's harder on the offensive line to continually get attacked at the pass protection.
I just think the execution of whatever they were trying to do was so bad. Outside of a few specific routes with Cup and Puka, everything else just it wasn't working. None of it was working. They were executing badly. They every time we would have something slightly positive go, they would shoot themselves in the foot, have a penalty. I'm like, you know, I understand Bobby Brown hasn't been penalized, and I'm very happy for him. He's been a really good player for us. Great depth piece. But like we just watched Puka Nakua get ejected and we almost lost the game because of it. And you're gonna go there and headbutt someone? Like I
Yeah, I
understand they're
mean,
pushing you and like come on.
yeah, I mean, at best, that should have it. He shouldn't have been pushed because I think that should have been a flag and it should have offset itself. Obviously, that's something that they need to clean up. They can't do it. You're gonna have those. You're gonna have those instances. So I'm not gonna put all this on Bobby Brown because again, the defense played the game the best they played the game, and the Rams should have capitalized on it. I mean, there were two of them were the defense put them in the perfect spot, like within the 40-yard line on their side of the feet on the Dolphins side. Like the defense wasn't the problem at all, other than the first play and the Bobby Brown thing. They were putting pressure on Tua consistently. And
Mind the field
Roseboom,
goal.
you know, freaking Roseboom. I mean, he came out and played like an all-star Monday night. And
Best game of his
unfortunately,
career.
yeah, and unfortunately the Rams lost. Like we can't have that. We've been on some of these guys continuously and they finally show up to play the game and our offense can't succeed. And the offense has been like this. You go back and watch our several episodes. When they won against the Raiders, our defense won us that game. So it's our offense. Offense is the problem. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's that offensive line. And they need to get something up because they're literally out of time.
I mean, I would keep Avila and start the rookie at center. And then on right tackle, if Havenstein is healthy, start him. If he's not, then I would put McClendon out there.
So what is it right now? So right now is I'm trying to go. So Alaric Jackson, Steve Avila, currently Steve Avila. It's Jonah Jackson. Who am I missing? Um, who's our right guard?
Dotson.
Dotson, and then um, and then hopefully McClendon. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like, what do you do with Jonah Jackson? I mean, or I don't know. Maybe try going back to putting Steve Avila in center. I don't.
Maybe they're not
We.
fully healthy. Like he wasn't fully healthy and couldn't get enough power. Like
I
again,
mean,
they were getting bullied by a D line that's been subpar.
yeah. I
I
mean,
it
you
just
want continuity within your offensive line, and they haven't had the continuity. They came back. They just got back off of IR. I kind of told people this earlier this week is that I think it was different pulling Puka back from IR and having him go than it is an offensive lineman. It's just a totally different atmosphere, and there wasn't enough practice to get that sync of snapping the ball with Stafford. So I don't know. Something needs to change, and it has to be the offensive line.
But we have to get wins in these next 2 or 3 games if we want a shot at the postseason. And you can't just sit there and watch your O line be like Swiss cheese. I don't care how much you're paying them. You need
Yeah, I
to
mean
put the person playing better.
the Dolphins were the team that we should have won against. Like, because
Yeah.
we are, I mean, out of these next, let's look at these next 3 games. We have the Patriots, we have the Eagles, and we have the Saints. Maybe 2 of those are winnable.
We should beat the Patriots and the Saints.
We should, but we just lost to the Dolphins.
I mean, Tua healthy, they're a top 10
Tua
offense
wasn't
with Tua
good.
healthy.
The Tua wasn't good.
Still, like Tua there, they're still a top 10 offense. They have 2 really great, talented wide receivers.
But if our offense can't do anything,
I don't disagree.
we can't rely on 5 field goals. That gets us 15 points.
Our red
Most of the
zone
time, you're not going to.
has been atrocious. The closest we got to a touchdown this game, the closest was a wide open running back, Kyron Williams. Williams needs to not be 90% of our touchdowns this year.
Well, Robinson was catching up the last couple weeks, but he fell off this week as well with only with one catch for 22 yards. Again, like we need to get these guys involved somehow, and like we've just abandoned a lot of things when we get in like a pinned back position. The Rams are pretty good when you're kind of chugging along and you're going down, you're scoring a touchdown. They can kind of keep that momentum up. But they have a really bad time of if they can't get that momentum, they kind of falter throughout the whole entire game, and maybe they get lucky at the end. Um,
I've I've actually thought it's kind of done us a big disservice to consistently be winning these coin tosses and going second. I think this is a team that needs to start off with the ball and like get a lead. I really do feel like us playing from behind, there's something about that mentality that this team just struggles with.
I mean, you know, for the longest time, the Rams were the most successful, and when the Rams were, when Sean McVay had that record for the long time of having like never lost a game when winning at the half.
Mhm.
Um,
It's still like what 45-2, something like that.
Something.
So like it's still really good. The problem is we haven't led at half almost any of these games because our first quarter. Do you remember the point differential for our first quarter?
Yeah,
It's like
I've
negative 77
yeah,
on the year.
it's terrible. I mean, and of these games left that we
Yeah.
have, I mean, we have what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games
Mhm.
left. Um, we have tough teams ahead. We have the Bills, we have the 49ers, we have the Cardinals, and we have the Seahawks. Like we're gonna go through and obviously the Eagles. And you throw the Jets in there and the Saints, those are 2 teams that I think are gonna be kind of an odd game. Um,
Yeah.
but
They got to fix their execution. And if this offense doesn't turn around in a week or two and doesn't get hot, our season's going to get cooked really fast. We aren't in the luxury of being like 6-2 and like going through a struggle or like no win November. Like we don't have that record
yeah.
to
Yeah,
do
we
that.
we we have no we don't have any comfort zone. Like we have lost all the games that we can lose, and we need to win the next ones. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, if
We
we have
can
8 games
lose
left,
two more.
yeah, I mean, at most 2.
Yeah.
Um, we really need to kick it in high gear and make something happen. So But like I said, I think our defense is playing well. They continue to grow each and every
Great.
week. Jared Verse continues to exceed expectations. Brandon Fisk is getting in there. Um, I'm really excited, for the future of the Rams. That they're exceeding expectations on rebuilding this defense. Obviously, there's going to need some work in the offseason, probably looking at that secondary. But it seemingly like they found their defensive front, which is great because they're all on rookie contracts. Um, and then you just have to kind of tweak out, some of those secondary positions. Um, Roseboom's
Yeah.
continue it growed a lot. Um, we're seeing Spites out
We'll
there.
see if it keeps up. We
It
saw
could,
week
yeah,
one similar stuff, and then it didn't continue.
that's true. And everyone's going to have a good game, and some people there's always going to be players who are going to have bad games. But Roseboom has been, I wouldn't say consistently good, but I will say like he hasn't blown a whole lot this season. But that's because our defense is just playing at a different level than I think most people were
Yeah.
expecting them to play. Because again, we all thought the offense was going to be carrying us this team, and that is definitely not the case. So hopefully the Rams can make something happen um, because they really need something to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like the offense are getting paid like 3 or 4 times more than defense.
Yeah, it's it's a lot. It's a lot, and again, like I can't say I blame Puka Nakua. I can't blame Cooper Cup. It's Demarcus Robinson. The weapons are there. They have the weapons, but it's somewhere between the play call, person executing the play call, or the quarterback
Mhm.
or the offensive line. And I really think it's the offensive line that's the struggle.
Well, and also when we have a tackle struggling, can we please chip on that side? Why, like ever since 23 and having a nightmare about Trey Hendrickson bullying our tackle or backup tackle, why does McVay refuse to help out these guys? Like just Davis Allen ain't doing much down the field. Just let him help block or at least chip. And I just like
Yeah.
watch play in and play out like these backup tackles. I know Noteboom's getting paid 20 mil, but you can see him struggling. Just it's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. I just want to see something, and I don't know, maybe it needs to be a little bit more creativity in some of the play calling. Like I said, I thought the
They
offense
couldn't
was
execute it.
well, the offense was doing well when we were doing bootlegs, or we were, try something, try a jet sweep, just one. I don't, if it fails, then don't do it again. I don't care, but like do something other than, short check downs or short tight end screens or whatnot, because, some of these things aren't working when you are, second and 13 or something like that. And Puka gets 5 yards. Like, I want to see something different. Show the defense that you have more up your sleeve than the same plays over and over and over again.
Yeah. And also, can we stop on third and long in the first half? McVay, please. I understand you want to give up on a drive and you just want to do a low percentage turnover play, and you do either a halfback draw or a slip screen, and it always goes for 2 or 3 yards, and it's an instantaneous giving up on drive, not even trying to throw for it.
I mean,
We
that first
we
drive,
got to just be more aggressive.
at the first drive we had when whatever happened, what was it? I missed the first drive for the Rams, or the first play of the Rams, but they got
So
back
it
to
was a
2nd and 20,
screen. It was an attempted screen to, I believe, Kyron.
and they got minus 10
It
yards out
got
of
blown
that.
up. Yeah.
But then we go 2nd and 10, and like again, like, or 2nd and 20, and you're like, we run the ball for 4 yards or something like that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and you knew the second they got 4 yards and it was third and 16 that they were just gonna do like a halfback dive or just
but they
like
almost, the crazy thing is like they almost got 12 yards. Like they were almost like so
yeah,
close
but
of converting it.
the defense is literally designed just for you to almost get like
Yeah, I get it.
they yeah, it's
I just want them to be more. I want them to be a little bit more creative in their, especially in their longs. Like, give yourself a chance. Like, I get it, but Ethan Evans is a really good punter, and so you know, I don't think there's going to be a difference between 5 or 10 yards, especially when your defense is playing well. Give your offense a shot to stay on the field longer.
yeah. Yeah, it just sucks because this is a team that was promising on paper, and I'm hoping it's just like the interior is not healthy. Still they're banged up, and I'm hoping if more and more time, like we can see that promise of like why they paid these guys so much, like Jonah
Yeah.
Jackson, and you know,
I will say probably kudos to Josh Carty. I know that he did miss the 57, not necessarily
that's a
his
hard
fault
take.
because of a false start by Bo Limmer because he made the 52 prior to that penalty. Um, but being able to make those 50 plus is really crucial. So kudos to him for that. So
Yeah,
the Carty
that probably
party is back.
costed the game was basically on two plays. That missed field goal and or well, he made the field goal and then it got hit back. And then the 3rd and 17, I think, that was the dagger. You have to stop them on 3rd and 17. And imagine that he didn't do halfback draw and they got it. It's crazy, Zach. You go
Crazy.
for it and like you're not going to get it every time, but sometimes there's a broken coverage like a linebacker covering, I don't know, a top 5 fastest wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean they kept their uh their offensive weapons pretty quiet. Um so I mean Waddle had 57. I mean they had some chunk plays here or there, but their receiving team only had 207 yards.
Yeah.
Their rushing only had 67 yards. We had
No,
more
they did a good
rushing
job.
and more receiving yards than their team. And we
We would
still
be a
couldn't win.
contender if our offense was just 10th or 11th best in the league.
It also didn't help that, I mean, the only other thing I would say is probably that really hurt us was we got the fumble and then we fumbled the ball immediately after. Um, like,
Okay. Because basically what happened, Kyron would have got the ball back, but so and they announcers didn't point this out. One, I don't know who it was. I think it was a wide receiver. One of our players' legs like kicked the ball outwards or knocked it is better way of saying on accident, and it went straight to a dolphin. So
yeah, that was, it's just one of those things where like the Rams just never can get a lucky bounce. Luckily, I think Stafford, he was able to save a high snap, a really high snap. But other than that, it is what it is. But the Rams will be back. I think that again, this Rams has so much talent on this team that is just going to be wasted if they can't do something with it. And we'll see how it goes against the Patriots. This is the bounce back. Let's get them motivated. Let's get them back in the rhythm. Let's give them the motivation they need to kind of again make the run and hopefully get to the playoffs.
I want to see this team steamroll a bad Patriots team. They need to steamroll them on every side of the ball. Drake May's really good. I will tell people that he is a fantastic young quarterback, and he's played at a high level with nothing around him in the Patriots organization. But we have to crush him. We have to crush that team,
I
and
agree.
we'll probably go to OT. So we'll see.
The good old OT. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone who has tuned in to watch. We really appreciate you watching live. You can always watch this after the fact on youtube.com/@EastCoastRams or on any podcast app you prefer. Just search East Coast Rams. Ashton, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I wish the Rams would have helped with some of my sadness from knowing I lost fantasy football on Thursday night going against Jamar Chase. And instead they added to my depression. So hopefully they cannot repeat that mistake this week and give me some joy.
Let us hope. We are yeah, we're just hoping, we're hoping for a prayer that we can get something good going.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. Again, you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/at East Coast Rams. You can find us on X at East Coast Rams. You can find us on Instagram and Threads at East Coast Rams Pod. I'm Zach. This is Ashton over here. And we will see you guys next time. Whose house?